It is not only opening day for the baseball season, it is opening day for, well, the launch of Bettor Baseball. That's right. Bettor Baseball, new podcast here, WinDailySports.com. Thanks to Jason Mizrahi for letting us do this, letting us chat up ball here every single weekday morning at 10:30 a.m. As you can see, my name is John Jansen, at JJansen34 on Twitter. Brian Sloan joining me as well. Brian, not only is the grass much greener now, not only are the baseballs fresher than ever and the bats are nice and ready to go, but our hopes also for our teams are also probably about as mint condition as they'll be throughout the season, as our hopes are going to get battered, bruised. It's going to take a Bryce Harper or a Stanton bat right to the baseball. It is going to be a long season, but that's what we enjoy about Major League Baseball. We'll get into the betting side of things. Big opening day slate today. Now, the big thing, weather is going to be an issue in a few games. I know here in the Philadelphia area, very windy. It's coming in. Who knows if what that's going to do, especially with Aaron Nola and Max Fried, who are two pitchers I'm sure we're going to be looking at for today, and two lineups that we'll be looking at for today as well. But also, we got to lock in our MLB futures bets. Baseball, first pitch is in a couple of hours, so we got to lock some things in. So, Brian, I'll ask you first, just what are we looking at here? Where is the interest for the start of the season for you? I have a few futures bets, but what are the teams you're looking at early on this season?
Well, the teams I'm looking at this season are, definitely the Dodgers and Padres. You can't go wrong with the NL West, Dodgers, Padres. They're going to play each other a billion times. So
yeah. And play a really bad division outside of that, too. So
yeah,
those two are going to really
San Francisco and Colorado are not going to.
What, do you mean Gabe Kapler's not going to do well in San Francisco?
He'll do better than last year, but I don't think he'll do well. Arizona's nothing to mention, really. So Dodgers, Padres are my two favorite teams in the National League. Atlanta's a close third. If I was going to look for a surprise, maybe the Mets, maybe the Nationals, maybe the Cardinals. But I'm really strong with Dodgers, Padres, Braves. On the American League, I like the Yankees. I like the White Sox. Out West, I don't know. Houston should be okay. Oakland's pretty decent. Anaheim, Los Angeles,
that division with the Astros and Athletics, there is nothing there that I just am so gung-ho about. It's all, maybe the Astros, it could be the Athletics.
Right.
Just nothing out there that makes me just go, oh, man, I'm really excited for this team. It's just a lot of
It's just a lot of meh. But really, it's the White Sox and the Yankees and the Rays. It's definitely an Eastern focus on the
Blue
American
Jays
League
as well. Like, is this
Blue
their
Jays
time?
are really good, yeah.
And that's a couple of things coming into this season. At least when I'm looking at the futures market, that it's kind of playing on a few narratives here. Like, I think the Blue Jays, they've had a couple of years now, at least last year, and a couple of years to get all of these young bats really acclimated into the major league level. And I think now is the season. The White Sox, they're a bit of a different story, because I think they were overperforming their projections of how this was going to go for them, and so they just shot up the board. And so I don't know if I'm tempering expectations a little bit on the White Sox, but a team like the Blue Jays, I think, is ready for that. A team, and I hate to say this because I'm wearing all Phillies gear, so I understand where I'm at and who I root for. But the Phillies have been knocking on that door. Bryce Harper, since he's been here, a 500 season. They were knocking on the door for the playoffs last season. This finally seems like the year that they're ready to make that push. And that's why I caution for futures markets, be weary of the Cardinals. Be weary of the Mets. These first years, these transitions don't usually go well year number one. It takes a while to get into this. And I'm going at this, looking at I think the best example of it is Manny Machado and Bryce Harper both. Because now they're in their third seasons with these teams. First season, a little bit slow, a little bit of an adjustment period. Second season, things went really well for them both. I know it was only a short season, 60 games. But now both of those teams are in position to Padres, obviously in a much better position because they bolstered up their starting rotation. But Phillies are in a good position to make the playoffs. That's the teams I'm looking for. I'm staying away from the Cardinals. I actually like the Brewers to win that division. Yeah. I think their starting rotation is solid enough. You have two good anchors there, and Woodruff and Burns are going to see Woodruff tonight, which we'll get to that game as well. Really good matchup, sneaky matchup, Maeda and Woodruff, by the way.
Yes.
In that Twins-Brewers game. But I like the Brewers to win that division just because I'm weary of the Cardinals. Is that the same with you? And that's just how I look at first years like this with players like Arenado and Lindor. It takes a little bit of time.
It does take time. It also depends on the team they're going into. So like Machado went to the Padres. They didn't do much that first year because I don't think the Padres were that strong of a team to begin with. So Machado comes in, gives them a little bit of a boost, but it's really not noticeable because the Padres were a really poor team at that point in time. I think the Mets were pretty decent last year. And while it does take some time to get acclimated, I think Lindor to the Mets will have a greater impact than, like Machado to the Padres that first year. The Phillies were decent. And Bryce Harper to the Phillies was good, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. So I think it really depends on the team that you're, going into. So I think Arenado to the Cardinals in that division, I think it gives the Cardinals a boost. I think the Cubs aren't as strong as they used to be. The Brewers are really strong. The Reds aren't as strong as they were, and Votto's out for the time being.
Yeah.
So I think Arenado to the Cardinals will have a greater impact. Now, does that make the Cardinals exponentially better than they were last year? Not necessarily.
Right. So, does it propel them? Because, they were a below-average lineup last season. Does Arenado, and that's with Goldschmidt having a spectacular season. Paul Goldschmidt was really good. So does that propel them into being an above-average lineup and helps out what might be, I hate to say shaky, but in a season where starting pitching depth is going to be probably stressed more than others, I'm worried about the Cardinals because they're coming in with a couple of injuries already and to one of their best pitchers as well. But, after Jack Flaherty, it gets a little bit muddy. And Adam
Wainwright,
But rejuvenated, it's the same concerns I have with, let's say, a Clayton Kershaw. He was great last season. But 162 games on that arm again is going to be stressful. 162 games, right, on Wainwright is stressful. I don't know if the Cardinals have the pitching depth. Now, the difference between Kershaw and the Dodgers and Adam Wainwright and the Cardinals, I think there's a little bit more depth with the Dodgers than there is the Cardinals. So they should be fine. They have Julio Urias and Dustin May at the back end of the rotation.
Exactly.
Dustin May could end up breaking out and be one of their best pitchers.
Absolutely.
Dodgers. So, it's a different situation, but the Cardinals, to me, just don't have the ability to have this starting rotation play poorly or things go bad or sideways for them. And if it does a little bit, it opens the door for the Brewers. Now, the Reds, I'll ask you this about the Reds because they had a lot of guys regress a little bit last season. I'm talking specifically in the lineup. Is that any chance of them getting back, having that positive regression year and that lineup being good enough to maybe get the Reds in this race against the Cardinals and Brewers?
I feel the Reds are a solid step down. I'm gonna look. No, seriously. Like, if you don't have Suarez and Votto hitting at all cylinders, and Moustakas and whoever else, like, their lineup is solid. But I like the Brewers lineup a lot more than the Reds. And I like
and they can even get a much better this season. They were right there with the Cardinals last year, but that's with two of their best players in Hira and Yelich not really playing that well.
Right.
They were pedestrian, and I think Yelich can be back into that MVP type conversation.
Yeah, Yelich can rebound. But also, like, Cincinnati lost Trevor Bauer, so
that doesn't help. Yeah.
when you lose a core piece to the pitching rotation, I think, they got some nice pieces, and they're a really nice middle of the NL Central team. Like they can compete. I think they'll be competitive for a long portion of the season, but I think they're going to come up short compared to Milwaukee, and St. Louis.
WinDailySports.com is where you can check us out. Hey, a bunch of stuff from the Win Daily Sports team for opening day today and tomorrow for some teams. I mean, opening day is here, and Win Daily Sports has you covered for not just, this week, the entire season, but for this week, if you do want to get, let's say, just a little bit of a trial, or you want to just check out Win Daily Sports, what we offer for baseball as the season goes on. Well, we have a promotion going on that you can check out for the first week. Win Daily Sports Gold membership is just $5 for the first week. Real-time projections, cheat sheets, premium articles, and a Discord chat, windailysports.com/chat with a bunch of DFS gurus. We're going to be talking sports betting, all of that. Just 1 week for $5, then $29.99 a month. Just use the coupon GOT5, or you can go to our Win Daily Sports Twitter account at Win Daily Sports, and you can check it out. It's our pinned tweet. So if you need anything, and we have right now, we have aces and bases for opening day. And there was a picture in one of those posts that I do want to talk about for opening day, because I think there is a good matchup, and it's hard to navigate. I would say the first couple of weeks. That's why you need Win Daily Sports. Hey, if you want to check out the first week, it's very hard. And because we don't have a large sample size, these guys are very good. $5 for the first week, I think, or $5 for 1 week is the right way to go. And you can do that, windailysports.com. Check out the promotion pinned to our Twitter account at Win Daily Sports. Now, the opening day slate is here, and I've already seen a few names that are really interesting in terms of starting rotation now that I want to look at, because that's what we tend to look at first when we're betting on games and we're betting on matchups. And so the first game that I want to go at for today's slate, and maybe we can go down a little bit and wait for it, but one is Kenta Maeda and Brandon Woodruff. These two guys both have been under the radar, I would say good. Like, Woodruff isn't considered an ace, and Corbin Burns isn't either, but one of those two could end up being, I hate to say that kind of a pitcher for him, but be a top level starter for them, be the number one. And Kenta Maeda for the Twins, this is important for both teams and for both pitchers to get going early, because Kenta Maeda is one with the Twins. He has to do well. Jose Berrios is a talented pitcher, sometimes doesn't put it together fully, but this game gets really interesting. Money line -107 for the Twins, -109 for the Brewers. This is in Milwaukee. I think I'm going to lean a little bit Milwaukee here. Just because it's a home team, it's even in terms of the money line. I'm going to kind of project, and I'm not going off of last season. I'm going off of projections I have for this season. And I project the Brewers lineup to be pretty good. And I project Christian Yelich and Hira to get back into this and be really good this season. So I like the Brewers to come out pretty strong against Maeda in this one. Going to be, again, pretty tight ball game. Brandon Woodruff, Maeda, both been solid starting pitchers. But this game, at least early on, I think I like the Brewers here, -109.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I like the Brewers because they're at home. Minnesota's on the road in a National League park. You don't have the DH. You don't have Nelson Cruz. So that takes some pop out of their lineup. But yeah, I mean, I think Yelich will rebound, have a really good year like he used to have in 2019. Hero will get into the swing of things. I mean, lineup-wise, I love the consistency of the Brewers lineup. Like, you can go down that roster and in that lineup, and you can see where you're going to get your hits, you're going to get your base runners, you're going to get your stuff. And I think that translates well for the Brewers this year, this game. The Twins have some holes. I mean, they have power, but they're not great. They swing and miss a lot. They take a lot of, they help out the opposing pitchers a lot. So, it really comes down to, are they at home? Do they have the DH? Are they in the American League? Who are they playing against? The Twins are a good matchup team if they can get a good team to match up against. But this is why the Twins don't have that much success in the postseason, because they get into situations where their roster can't handle the matchups. Yeah. So I think the Brewers are that type of team for the Twins. The Brewers are going to outclass Minnesota in various ways up and down the lineup. And Maeda, I mean, I've watched Maeda since he was a Dodger, and he's one of the best starters, I think, underrated. I mean, last year he finished high in the Cy Young race, but like he was doing that for years. So, I think Maeda, he should come out and he should pitch a really solid game. And stat-wise, I think Maeda will be a really good choice to have on your DFS rosters, et cetera, and into consideration with your betting for the Twins. But I don't like the matchup against the Brewers today.
Yeah, I think it's a tough matchup. And again, I expect the Brewers lineup to be much better than they were last season. I expect their two best players to actually be their best players this season. Next pitching matchup. Sorry, we're going to skip the Pirates. Is that okay, Brian? I know you're a Pirates fan.
100%
Is that
okay?
Okay, that's good with you. Next matchup that's really good, but I see, and I've been flip-flopping on this game because some of the I guess ways of handicapping this one have been a little bit off to me, but I do think I like the Braves in this one. Now at plus 102, Max Fried, a short season. I get it. Didn't lose a game on the mound, but Aaron Nola's had a bit of a tough time against the Braves lately. And this lineup is ferocious. I can say all day how good the Phillies lineup is, and it's all true, but I would be lying straight to your face here on the Bettor Baseball podcast, WinDailySports.com, lying straight to your face if I said that the Phillies lineup was better than the Braves. It is great. They have exactly the kind of bats that can hit a guy like Nola. Nola's been okay in spring training. He was all right last season, not the ace kind of material that you want from Aaron Nola. Not saying that he'll be bad, but for game number one against this lineup and the past kind of problems he's had against the Braves, I think I would have to lean plus 102. Now, the reason I say I didn't like how people were talking about this at first, because this is where I differ from I guess not differ from everybody else, but where I don't like going is I don't like looking too much at last season. Like the Phillies bullpen was horrible last season. Mm-hmm. They led 49 of 60 games and they blew a lot of them. I mean, they were just not good in their bullpen, but this is not the same bullpen. We're not coming into this the same thing, and it's going to just be guys like Hector Neris, and that's it. It's Hector Neris, but with Jose Alvarado, with Archie Bradley. Does it concern me that Neris is the closer? Sure. But it's a little bit different. But I'm going to end up going with the Braves here. I might just take it first five with Max Fried, because I think the Braves can get out early. But if the Phillies can get through about 4 or 5 innings of Max Fried and keep this a little bit close, I do expect them to be in this one. They've been hitting the baseball well spring training. Bryce Harper's been on fire. JT Realmuto, obviously very good. And they have a solid enough righty bats, especially Rhys Hoskins as well, to really get after Max Fried. Now, they do have Adam Hazley starting, which he has not been good against lefties. But I think I'm going to stick first five here. I'll go with the Braves on the money line for the first five.
Yeah, I think the Braves are the smart play. They are one of the top 3 teams in the National League. Snitker had mentioned that this is their best team they've had coming out of spring training in his time as manager of the Braves. So, I mean, Max Fried, he was on point last year, and if he comes and he looked good in the spring, and if he comes with that type of, pitching and discipline and whatnot, he can hit his spots. I think the Phillies are in for a long day. Now, I mean, the Phillies lineup can pose some problems for Atlanta and for Max Fried, but I mean, historically speaking, it hasn't been. So, I mean, it's going to be a cold, poor weather day in Philadelphia. I think that favors Max Fried and Aaron Nola against the Braves. But I think the Braves lineup is going to be too strong. I don't think, Nola would have to pitch lights out for the Phillies to be competitive early in this game. I mean, maybe they can hit up the Braves bullpen, but I think Max Fried's going to dominate, and I think the Braves are going to, at least for the beginning of the game, have a nice control over the Phillies.
Yeah, Aaron Nola, he's pitched against the Braves since 2009, 46 and 2/3, has allowed 23 runs, 23 walks, ERA over 4, WHIP over 1.40. It's been a bit of a rough go for him against the Braves, and I expect the Braves to get after him a little bit early, take an early lead, and have at least the lead after the first 5 innings. Do I get concerned now that the Phillies bullpen could be a little bit better, and to just bet the Braves full game thinking the Phillies bullpen not only going to blow it, but also, going to not be able to keep them in the game. I'm not going to go that far. I'll just take the first five because I know at least Max Fried can do pretty well against what is a pretty tough lineup for the Phillies, but he can neutralize maybe Bryce Harper, and that's going to be enough to keep them in the lead for the first 5 innings. You're tuned in to the Bettor Baseball podcast, launch show for us here at Win Daily Sports. WinDailySports.com/chat is where you can join the Discord. I'm sure there's a lot of celebratory gifts, opening day gifts being sent in the Discord, and a lot of trash talk. The Win Daily Sports team, Brian, is full of Mets fans. So it is very tense in the Win Daily Sports chat. Right. So it's going to get a little tense this season. I already have a bet against Jason Mizrahi. Now, you know what? I'll throw this one to you before we go to our next game. So the Phillies win total is at 80.5. The Mets is at 90.5. By the way, I like the under on the Mets win total. Yes. He is giving me 5 games. So he is. I am basically starting the season off 5-0, and the Phillies have to finish with a better record than the Mets this season in order for me to win the bet. Loser has to wear either I would have to wear a Mets hat on a stream for a week, or he would have to wear a Phillies hat. Who do you think is winning that bet, Brian? It's of course me, right? You got to say me.
I mean, I like the Phillies' chances to win that bet.
There we go.
I definitely.
There we go.
It's funny, as a non-New Yorker, the Mets always strike me as like a fun, almost illegitimate team where like they always they always have high hopes. They always get dashed by injuries.
Yep.
And as soon as they can crawl into the wild card place, every Met fan that I know is always like bargaining and negotiating with, well, if we can win this game, then we can do this, or if so-and-so does this, then this could happen, so we could get that wild card spot. And I just laugh. Like, I mean, I've enjoyed my time at Citi Field and seeing the Mets play in person, but like,
no one enjoys their time at Citi Field.
No,
not even Mets fans. It's disappointing all the time. Disappointing.
I was just giving them a handout. I was trying to be polite.
Everybody knows Citizens Bank Park is much better than Citi Field. Everybody knows that.
Of course. I mean, it's it's easier for me to get to. I enjoy it.
So WinDailySports.com, WinDailySports.com/chat. And again, if you're looking WinDailySports.com, you're trying to find DFS lineups, pitchers for today. Always pitchers are tough, and you need to get the right ones. We have that for you. MLB DFS picks and pivots opening day 2021 from Brian. We have from Matt Rogers, over here with MLB DFS aces and bases for opening day. Everything to have you covered. And one of them, this is one of the aces that Matt likes, Matt Rogers, and this is where I'm going to go for my next game because this is somewhat of a tough matchup again, and most of these are. Here we go. Micah Raziel, Mets fan, telling me to shut up. This is what happened when you let a Phillies guy on one of your shows, WinDailySports.com. That's just how it happens. But all these games are tough because you're having a team's best starting pitcher for opening day starting. So these are all tough matchups to look at. And the ones that are big discrepancies, they're already priced like that. One game I like Luis Castillo against the Cardinals. And if you're looking at our aces and pivots from Matt Rogers, or our aces and bases, opening day for Matt Rogers, he likes Luis Castillo to throw a lot of heat against the Cardinals. He has a career K rate against the Cardinals is 24.3%, 8.8 per 9 innings, and he's maintained a low 3.80 xFIP against the Cards. So obviously, Luis Castillo has had some success. It's a little bit of a money line here, but going back to what I said, it doesn't immediately make. Nolan Arenado is a great player, but doesn't immediately make itself known right away. Inserting a Cardinals lineup that I don't think is overly great, or this isn't like a great, awesome lineup now. It's just okay. A good arm like Luis Castillo should have a good time against the Cardinals team. And I'm going to take them -120 on the money line right now. I would check the first 5 just to see what that is and just to see what the price is, because I would just stick with the first 5 with Luis Castillo, which Reds -121. I would take that. You're getting the pretty much the same price, and I would just like to have Luis Castillo for those 5 innings. But that's kind of where I'm going here for the Reds, is with Luis Castillo and his arm, and I'm going to take them -121 on the money line.
Yeah, I think Luis Castillo is going to have a pretty nice day against the Cardinals lineup. I mean, there are chances for some pitfalls, but overall, I mean, if you're looking at Luis Castillo himself against the Cardinals lineup, I like that matchup. I think Luis Castillo can fire on all cylinders. He can handle the roundabout way the Cardinals lineup looks. They don't have Harrison Bader for the Cardinals today, so that's a nice, relief for Castillo. I mean, not that he was the linchpin that held the.
But he's one that they need if they're going to get better. And
I mean, the Cardinals need everybody, and not to have Bader is a huge deficit. So even if you do have Arenado and you do have Goldschmidt and whoever else, like, it's not the be all end all of lineups that's gonna like hammer Luis Castillo. I think Luis Castillo should get out there, get his work in, have a good day, and have the Reds in a nice position when the relief pitcher comes in.
Yeah, I think so. And that's, again, why I think I'm going to stay first five, just really ride the coattails of Luis Castillo, which should do pretty well. He's a good young pitcher in baseball, and this Cardinals lineup isn't anything to be afraid of. I'm going to take the home team here, and I'm going to take the Cincinnati Reds. Now, the next game we're going to go to, 7 o'clock, we're going to skip Royals, Rangers, if that's all right there, Brian.
Yes.
Yes. Nationals, Mets, Max Scherzer against Jacob deGrom. Now, this game did have a lot of hype going into it, not only the pitching matchup, but of course, the way the Mets are this season, the way we project the NL East to be one of the best divisions in baseball. Yet the Nationals are coming in. We don't know the extent of it yet. I don't think we haven't heard much of it yet, but we do know that there are going to be some lineup changes, maybe not some lineup changes, maybe some bullpen arms out, whatever the case may be. But they do have a COVID issue coming into the year. But if it's not Max Scherzer who's out of this game and he's the one on the mound, you still have to give the Nationals somewhat a chance, right? Max Scherzer on the mound against Jacob deGrom. It's a home game for Washington. I mean, if Juan Soto is out or Trey Turner is out, obviously then you go, all right, maybe take it down a notch against Jacob deGrom. But Max Scherzer, I think, I don't know what to think of him too much coming into this year, because I expected to get better, but then every time I would say that, I would get the pushback of, nah, maybe we're finally seeing the down years of Max Scherzer. Look, I don't know if we're going to see it yet. I don't think we're going to see that opening day game 1 for Max Scherzer. I think we see lights out, pretty much spot on Max Scherzer.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. Even if this is going to be a down year for Max Scherzer, I don't think this is going to be a down day for Max Scherzer. I think, he'll come out firing. He looked good in the spring for his work, even though some of those days he was just throwing like a certain type of pitch to get his work in on that pitch. He looked good, and I expect him to look really good today. I expect deGrom to look really good today. So this is a pitching matchup that should be exciting to everybody. They're both going to do quality starts. I don't imagine the Mets lineup doing a lot of damage to Max Scherzer. But it could. I mean, they have pieces that can. But I think Max Scherzer is going to be his dominant self for opening day.
Yeah, I think so. And that's the one thing throughout the season, obviously, to keep an eye on, but I'm not keeping an eye out on Max Scherzer being not good from game 1. I think he'll be fine in this matchup. So is it enough, again, to take the Nationals at plus 138? I think so. This line was a lot closer before the COVID news. This was a lot closer. This was almost, I would say, a pick 'em, if I remember correctly when I was looking at it here on DraftKings Sportsbook. But now it's a plus 138. You can get it at looking at some of the inning money lines as well. The Nationals plus 117. Plus 112, obviously getting a little bit of a bump because Max Scherzer will be starting likely those first 5 innings. But I think this number just got a little bit too skewed towards the Mets side. When again, we expect this Nationals team to be pretty good as well. And I don't know if it plus 138 with Washington at home, that necessarily the game 1 is going to be the Mets coming out party. I would wait for that. I don't think it's just going to be rainbows and sunshine in New York for day 1. It's in Washington. I like Max Scherzer. So I think I'm going to take my chance on them today, plus 138. Now, the Chicago White Sox and Angels. That's the last game we'll go over, and we'll get some and look through some of the arms for today. WinDailySports.com, WinDailySports.com/chat. Again, make sure to check it out. Starting rotation options for opening day that you can get. That one is from Adam. From Brian, you can get the picks and pivots for today, opening day, 1 o'clock until 10 o'clock all day, and then the aces and bases. I see a lot of Luis Castillo, so that's one that I'm definitely going to insert in a lot of my lineups, and I think definitely I'm going to bet the Reds because of it. But last game we're going to go over here on Bettor Baseball, which you can check out weekday mornings, 10:30 here, Win Daily Sports, WinDailySports.com. Brian, it's the White Sox and Angels. We talked at the start of this show. The White Sox are a team that if things go right and their young hitters continue to project to be better and better, then they're going to be maybe one of those teams that can contend in the American League.
Yes.
They're going up against a pretty tough matchup, though, in the Angels for game one. Shohei Ohtani's coming in with a lot of hype now. This is thought to be finally the year we see the two-headed monster of Shohei Ohtani on the mound and at the plate. He's looked great both in spring training. And Dylan Bundy, this guy is pretty darn good. Like I like Lucas Giolito, and he's going to be a great pitcher for the White Sox. This is a tough matchup. Again, going with the home team, this seems to be a theme for me, but I like the home team getting even money here. This Angels lineup is tough for Giolito game one. Rendon, Trout, Shohei Ohtani. I don't know if I like that as much, and I'm probably going to take the home team here in the Angels on the money line.
I would take the Angels in this game. I mean, you got to remember, Eloy Jimenez is not in the lineup for the White Sox for the first few weeks. You know, he injured his pec, and he's going to be out for a while. So if the Angels can play the way their lineup looks, I like the Angels. You know, like
that's a good way of putting it. That's a very good way of putting it.
Well, it's deceiving because you look at them. You got Trout, you got Rendon, you got Ohtani, you got other decent pieces in that lineup. You know, Pujols is coming into like his final season, but he still has enough pop to get, you know, some quality hits at the right time. You know, can they synergize and get it to work together? You know, like, are they going to get that key hit at the key moment? Are they going to be able to sustain, you know, an offensive push? Can they move runners around the base path? You know, are they going to rely on just home runs or just whatever? Like, can they play the small ball? And can their pitching staff support what the offense looks like? You know, that's the big key for the Angels has always been lack of pitching. So if Dylan Bundy can pitch the way we know he can pitch, I like the Angels in this game a lot. Can the Angels bullpen sustain late in the game? Can Dylan Bundy make it through 3 times through the White Sox lineup? I mean, the White Sox still have some pop. You know, Luis Roberts really good. They got Tim Anderson. That's not going away. So, but, you know, the White Sox have some nice pieces. And Giolito can pitch really well and really get, you know, some quality starts here, can really do some damage against the Angels lineup. But in a nutshell, if I was looking at the whole game, I'm leaning Angels on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to lean Angels as well. Just going through some because if you want some pitchers in your lineup that you need last plays, again, WinDailySports.com, check out these articles. We've gone through one. Luis Castillo is one of them that I've seen mentioned a lot, but there are some others here as well that we've not mentioned, some of the games we have not mentioned. I do see one that we like, Brandon Woodruff, wink, wink. But there are some plays here that you should check out. WinDailySports.com, starting rotation plays, picks and pivots, aces and bases. It is all there for you. It is opening day. And you know what? You know what, Brian? I think we all like the long ball. So let's go here with a long ball play for you today. Who's hitting a home run? I got to go, first of all, because I have his jersey on. He actually has 5 career opening day home runs. I'm going Bryce Harper. Is it against Max Fried? Maybe not. But Max Fried, I don't think is going to pitch a complete game shutout. Bryce Harper gets his, been hitting well in the spring. I think he hits a long ball day one at Citizens Bank Park. Maybe a little bit biased, but hey, the numbers back it up. He's pretty good at this during opening day.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I got to go one of the Padres, Tatis. Let's go with Fernando Tatis off of Mad Bum in Arizona. I like that. I think it can happen. Mad Bum hasn't pitched. He didn't pitch well last year, so I think with Zach Gallen down for Arizona and Mad Bum getting the opening day start, I think the Padres can jump on him, and I like the prospects of a Fernando Tatis home run.
Yeah, Diamondbacks might not be good this year. I don't know if people know that. They could be pretty bad. They could be pretty bad this year, in fact.
They're going to be, yeah.
If you're looking at a win total that you maybe want to go under on, I would say Arizona. You can look at that one that you can get. We're a couple hours away from opening day. First pitch. Can't wait for it. Good luck to you, Brian. Good luck to those out there, WinDailySports.com. If you want more DFS plays, if you want to know those pitchers, again, we've talked a lot about Luis Castillo. If you want to get more pitchers, guys to insert in your lineups, WinDailySports.com/chat is where you can join. I'm sure all of our DFS gurus are going to be in there helping improve lineups, mess around with your lineups, let you know if you're good to go. All of that can be found in the Discord chat, WinDailySports.com/chat. Also, our show with Mike North coming up at 4 o'clock. That's my first show with him. So we'll have that today for you, going over Major League Baseball plays and what is happening throughout the day. Of course, my head will be spinning because the Phillies will be on the diamond during that time, 4 o'clock as well. And then, of course, we'll have our NBA DFS show with DFS _Ghost on Twitter. You can find our guy Ghost, great at NBA DFS, and we'll be doing that as well. But for all of your opening day needs, WinDailySports.com. That's it for Brian and me. We'll be back, tomorrow at 10:30 doing this again. Can't wait for it. The Bettor Baseball Podcast, WinDailySports.com.